Well, listen, no one appreciates a room with people leaving when an investment banker goes to take the stage. Listen, normally, probably a fair rule to live by. However, whilst I am an investment banker and have been for 37 years, this is not going to be an investment banking presentation. I will pre-warn you of that. So I call my presentation AI and Advertising, Disruption of Tectonic Proportions, because of the extent of the implications of AI, the breadth of it, the depth of it, and the pervasiveness of what is about to happen in our industry. And by the way, the again, by the way, come on down, folks. You'll not regret it. I swear to God. So what you're going to hear me talk about today is a framework for use cases, a little bit on that, impact on outcomes, ecosystem, and my favorite topic, M&A, and then consequences for some of the constituent companies in advertising. What I'm going to leave to others are discussion of the technology per se, the product, consumer adoption, ethics, all great topics, but you know, that's sort of more the bailiwick of like a Shelley Palmer. So we'll let him talk about those things. Now, how you're going to hear it is a little different than what you're used to. I use animations and sound effects to capture your attention, and I use graphics and humor for your retention. So my goal is to make sure A, you're listening, and B, you remember this. Let's go, shall we? So AI has been on our agenda at LUMA for over a decade. In fact, when I mentioned NVIDIA almost 10 years ago, I wish I'd have bought the stock. I'd have done a lot better. And you know, we've advised on a lot of deals. Thank you, NBC, for that IP. Notice I didn't borrow Paramount's. I didn't want to offend them. So I've done deals across, you know, data, mobile, CTV. Heck, I've done deals of over $300 billion worth of transactions. And lately, I'm focused almost exclusively on AI. Now, while we've garnered mid to high single-digit multiples of net revenue for these deals across programmatic advertising, AI has been higher, and I submit will be higher still. There's only one thing wrong with this green box. There we go. There's sound here, folks. It's off. The audio is off. Thank you. All right. So what anyone on us should be saying about AI with frequency, and something I say all the time. What are the three words? I don't know. Because we don't know. It's early. You don't know. Your CMO doesn't know. Your agency doesn't know. Your tech vendor doesn't know. Heck, Sam Altman doesn't know.
Terry is right. I don't know.
So thanks, AI. But as we heard in that prior panel, AI is perfectly suited for advertising, large spend, massive data pools, and a full spectrum of outcome. Either the consumer converted or they didn't. Now, we've got lots of indicia, as was expressed in the prior two panels, about some of the AI hype, right? You see it happening all the time. We've got all the indicia of hype, and yet I submit we're going to see all the indicia of reality. And whilst normally technology innovation adoption curves look like a symmetrical bell curve, we believe that AI is going to pull it forward. So you are here in the journey, or are you here? The answer is, I don't know. Now, it does seem like AI has become table stakes. 94% of marketers saying that they utilize AI on a weekly basis. By the way, I'm pretty sure the cohort that describes the 6% are dumb and dumber. All right, now it may be confusing though, because they like to throw around all this lingo about AI that's new and you know, difficult to understand. But for people in advertising, what I tell them is, don't worry. There's a translator, that there is an ad tech equivalent for all of this AI lingo. Now, when I talk about AI's application to advertising, I like to use Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a great construct. And as you know, like in the original, as you go up the pyramid, it's more of an impact and more disruption. So you got the base layer, right? Workflow, audience data, measurement, and media buying. Again, things that were just talked about in the prior panel. And this is essentially software that optimizes existing tasks for efficiency. And it's great. Next up is content, ad creative, and communication. This again is software that optimizes existing tasks, but primarily, I'm going to submit, for effectiveness, a little bit of a different objective. Next up is internet navigation. That's the big daddy. That is a new consumer interface. And then there's, of course, there's the unknowns tasks we don't even know yet because this technology is so powerful. So let's just take a few moments on each layer. On the base layer, we're used to having multiple teams manually manage workflows in a sequential fashion. Well, AI is going to very much change that by making things real time and coordinated. And if you were paying attention, yes, there are fewer bodies required in the AI world versus the old manual world. So how much? I don't know. Next up is content, ad creative, and communication. I like to think of this as an iceberg. The part you see above the waterline is obviously reduced costs of production, all in the name of efficiency. And there's no reason not to pursue that. But I would submit that if you really want to move the needle, it's the 90% below the surface, the data about the creative that informs performance. And we believe that will drive effectiveness. So no reason not to do both, but you can think of above the waterline as tactical versus below as strategic. And you know, I can't help but notice that we have this paradigm of navigation for the last 25 years where we marketers find users wherever they are, and we try to drag them to our website so that we can convert them. Well, that's old. The new world says take your messaging to where people are. If somebody wants to doom scroll on TikTok, don't remove them from TikTok. Get your message to them and allow them to purchase. You go to where the consumers are, you have a one-to-one conversation because you know who you're speaking to, and it's a shorter path to conversion. Remember that point. And by the way, these two layers come in two forms, right? Pilot and agentic. And I don't know about you, but I'm annoyed, when they give you those CAPTCHAs and you got to find, okay, where is Sternberg? There he is. Oh shit, is that him? Yeah, that's him. Oh wait, one more. Okay, there we go. You gotta you're searching all over the web to find the dude. Or perhaps the one I hate the most is when I'm constantly having to prove that I'm not a robot. I mean, personally, I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to the day where the agent has to prove that they're not human. Wouldn't that be better? Okay, so internet navigation. This is the big daddy. This is the shift from the blue links of search to answers. And here, this is being driven by more capable LLMs, so that technology, an unprecedented consumer adoption by November. By next month, it'll be the third-year anniversary of generative AI, and we will have reached over 1 billion users. No technologies ever ramped that fast. We're seeing the emergence of new AI interfaces. Yes, the consumer chats, but also enterprise assistants, and coming soon, folks, browsers. And then a proliferation of monetization options that range from crude sort of one-off data licensing deals all the way through to contextual targeting and others. And noting that Microsoft is joining the fray as well, competing with Cloudflare and Tollbit in terms of allowing publishers to control which of their IP the LLMs will utilize. So you can think of these 4 categories as tech, traction, surfaces, and models. And it's very clear that if you look at the amount of dollars invested, here's 120 billion just from these 4 companies. Clearly, they're going to need a massive return on this, which is not, ladies and gentlemen, going to come from their subscription. The early adopters have only achieved 10% paid users. And then when you couple in the $250 billion, I said trillion with a T, of invested just from these 3 companies, it's clear to us that when it comes to AI, all roads lead to advertising, just like all the new entrants, just like all the subscription entertainment streaming apps. Everything leads to advertising. And then there's finally the top one, the former Secretary of War. He really was. He led us into Iraq. He did have coined a great phrase about unknown unknowns, things that you don't know that you don't know. And I would submit that in AI, there's a lot of things that we don't know. This is the ultimate I don't know. Okay, so there is our paradigm. I think Abraham Maslow would be proud. Okay, so turns out AI's massive disruption leaves a bunch of open-ended questions. We've talked already about IP credit challenges. We know about clearly agentic governance is going to be a challenge. Web search disruption, I just mentioned, and the innovator's dilemma of the existing companies in the space. What do you do with all of this new changing paradigms? And perhaps the single greatest element here is one of trust. And speaking of trust, here are I would submit that AI sources warrant scrutiny. Here are the top domains cited by the LLMs. All the top sources are UGC. I don't know how that makes you feel, but to me, I think that's somewhat of an issue. But AI answers is like search intent data on steroids. Think about a search in the old world, right? Someone types in the keyword search, Cleveland divorce lawyer. You know 3 things about that person. 1, they live in Cleveland. 2, they're getting divorced. 3, they need a lawyer. So obviously, you can see why Google built a $250 billion a year revenue business because of the high intent signal. Now think of that same situation in an AI chat. The user will start with a first query, on average 25-word prompt, and then follow it up with a series of follow-on questions, ultimately leading to a substantially higher intent signal. So this is super powerful. And so much so that Mark Zuckerberg even thinks that it will change the long-held ratio of ad spend to global GDP. So I think it's pretty clear that you can't ignore AI, right? There is no option to do nothing. But it has significant consequences, which we'll talk about, ranging from corporate development to business models to CMO credibility. Do I have your attention? And ultimately to the ecosystem evolution or revolution. So companies always have an option to buy versus build. We would submit that in an AI world, they have to do so fast. So it's buy fast, build fast, or buy fast. And there are some challenges to building, right? It's the risk of product market fit that the engineers that you hired happen to come up with the product that works in the marketplace. And by the way, hiring is difficult. These engineers are expensive. And you have what I would describe as talent adverse selection. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're a company, the AI engineer that's willing to work for you is probably not the best AI engineer. They're the ones that have started their own company. Thank you very much. Are they going to work for a W-2? You kidding me? I would say I don't know, but I know. Whereas if you buy, you reduce this risk of product market fit, and you have something I would describe as talent pro selection. The best engineers, the best business people in AI will launch their own startups. You then have to purchase said startup in order to, again, and it's a lot faster speed to market. What I would say is it's a little different in an AI world. You don't have to make a decision on the basis of their current product in market, because that sort of doesn't matter with the cycle being so fast. So we would say that the key here is the extensibility of the tech and an agile team that can think about shifting that, pivoting that product on a almost monthly basis. Another consequence is it shortens the startup life cycle. Normally, it takes years, sometimes even decades, to build out your infrastructure, your product, your go-to-market, and then scale before your exit. Whereas AI startups are exiting in a relatively short period of time with less capital, fewer people, and like I said, shorter path to exit. Example of that? It's this company Greenbids out of France that we just sold to Perion 2.5 years, and they were acquired. There is a bit of a construct, a mindset around David versus Goliath. That is to say that the AI first companies are going to just eviscerate all the current companies that are in the marketplace. It's romantic and it's exciting, but it doesn't reflect the incumbent advantages of scale, partnerships, integrations, inertia, that's a big one, and ultimately trust, which is very important. So Goliath can actually do just fine, but the caveat here is they have to move fast, build fast or buy fast. We're developing an AI LUMAscape of all the companies, at the intersection of AI and advertising. And we came to the conclusion there are 3 types of companies. There's either AI first companies, that's pretty self-evident. There's fast adapters that either have built product or acquired a company in order to have the necessary capabilities for this new AI world. And there's the third category that I rather derogatorily refer to as AI posers. In other words, marketing. Right? They're just saying they're AI. They're maybe putting .ai at the end of their name or their suffix, but it's real bullshit. And I will say that based on a LinkedIn post I made on this topic, it's clear that I got people's attention, everyone scrambling to make sure they're characterized not as a poser. Well, I tell you what, I could augment my revenue pretty significantly if I sold some merch. That t-shirt would yield me a lot of money, I think. But here it is, folks. There it is, the AI LUMAscape. And sorry, not ready yet. We will, however, be debuting it at our own event that we're hosting with Microsoft on November 17th called Futurescape, AI and Advertising Summit. Looking forward to that one. We all know that outcomes are better than proxies. It's the fundamental premise of the outcomes era. And we at LUMA have been talking about this for over a decade, how scale and automation bring operating leverage, mitigate all these issues of bots and fraud and viewability. Last time I checked, right, one of these bots don't actually make a purchase. So if you're not charging on an impression that may or may not be fraudulent, and you're only charging if you convert the customer, then all of that goes away. The other thing we pointed out at the ANA in 2018 was this notion that what started in the gaming world with intermediaries that help with gaming ads that are very performance oriented, they charge on an install basis, that then migrated, gestated to apps and then to D2C brands, and we believe we're coming to all marketers. That was in 2018, 7 years ago, prognosticating that we were going to enter the outcomes era for all marketers. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. So you could sort of call those gaming ad networks, those intermediaries, sorry for the volume, canary in the coal mine. So historically, performance defaulted to deterministic measurement. And there's a lot of problems with this, right? Last click, as you well know, it's got perverse incentives, shenanigans, and first-party data doesn't even scale. You migrate that to probabilistic, and it's great, but it's complex, slow, and expensive. Enter AI, where you can take that probabilistic approach and produce predictive measurement plus predictive buying equals predictive outcomes, kind of like the big tech companies already do and are in market selling. So if you're just thinking about this and not doing it, you're way, way, way behind. We believe that something we call supply-side decisioning is the next evolution for optimization. So in digital advertising, we had the waterfall where inventory would scroll down. Then there's header bidding, SPO, curation. And we believe that supply-side decisioning is the next evolution where you take a look at all signals, not just the QPS throttle signal that the DSP will see, such that you can effectively allow the open internet to compete with the walled gardens. So or better said, by my friend Snoop Dogg,
outcomes get high with your own supply.
outcomes get high with your own supply. Remember that one, right? And here's the thing. We know that traffic is migrating from the open internet to hedged and to walled gardens. So what is it that the walled gardens have that we want to replicate? Well, here are the 5 attributes. And I would submit that the open web can replicate, for the most part, all of these attributes in order to compete with the walled gardens. Don't believe me? AppLovin has already done it. And how do I know this? And so they got scaled inventory, they acquired gaming and app supply, they acquired an SDK footprint and a mediation solution, which gave them great supply side signal. They connected their DSP with their SSP. By the way, this is the best slide I've ever made in my life, so just watch. And they have horizontal presence with their DSP and their SSP connected. They have a closed loop of data, and they built their own Axon 2 AI engine. How do we know this with such detail? We advise them. There's audio here, please. And it's lower volume. So how did this turn out? Well, since launching Axon 2.0, the company has revenues are up 76% compound annual growth rate. Combine that with their 81% EBITDA margin, and this is a rule of 150 company, producing, ladies and gentlemen, a market capitalization of $235 billion, or said another way, greater value than every single global ad holding company, plus every single other public ad tech company, with enough left over to buy Pinterest, SiriusXM, Snap, the New York Times, and Warner Brothers. Let that sink in. Said another way, for you, if there's any large publishers in the room, it's got a greater market cap than Disney. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the best M&A case study ever. This company started as a gaming ad network in 2012, became a LUMA client in 2015, and oh my God, the returns is unbelievable. What it does is it reframes, AI will reframe what performance means. We're used to, top of the funnel brand. Those are the fancy people that fly first class and go to nice conferences in the south of France. Then there's the performance people, back of the magazine, DR. Well, AI brings those two worlds together, producing the age of outcomes for everybody. And so the new name may be something like brand performance. The implications are that you can buy on guarantees with predictive outcomes, and ad spend shifts to a cost of goods sold. What company has best personified this connecting of the bottom of the funnel with the top of the funnel? It is Amazon. And look, this is a company whose stock is up 28-fold in the last 15 years. If only you knew to invest in this stock in 2010, if only someone had predicted this evolution.
And the first implication may, in fact, be a collapse of the purchase funnel. And e-commerce companies coming up towards media because it is now a language that they understand. This is going to have significant implications.
So yeah, I know, time has been cruel, but an earlier version. So you could sort of say, there's that canary again, right? Predicting things before it happened. All right, so one other consequence of this approach of brand and performance connecting together, it shrinks the purchase funnel. You get a shorter path to your user making their purchase. So in effect, when you can tie spend X to revenue Y with what do we call LTV to CAC math, you essentially turn advertising from a discretionary expense. You move it up the income statement to a cost of goods sold. And when you do this, ladies and gentlemen, it's over. It's game over. Think about what AppLovin's business proposition is to its clients. Give me $1, I'll give you $2. Mark, give me $1, I'll give you $2. How often would you do that? Correct, every second. You would spend all of your money. And that is exactly why Adam Foroughi, founder and CEO of AppLovin, is advertising's
I'm too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt.
Again,
So sexy.
let me repeat, almost $250 billion market cap. He personally has gained over $25 billion. He's the nicest human in the world. drives a Honda Accord. There's that canary again. See, predicting. So I believe, now I have your attention, that this connection of the top and the bottom of the funnel and connecting spend with outcomes will mend the very fractured CMO-CFO relationship. It's not a good scorecard, CMOs. Sorry, right? Under 3-year tenure, you're basically never become the CEO. I'd argue you're not even taken seriously by the board. Harsh, but true. Whereas in an outcomes era, your CMO becomes your chief growth officer, you align with the CFO, and there we go. You earn the respect of the C-suite and the board. Look at the big walled gardens. They've got a vast majority of their customers already using Performance Max in the case of Google, which means so much for transparency. Nobody cares if you deliver results. And there's a lot of spend on those walled gardens. There's $300 billion across the walled and the hedged gardens. The vast majority, 90% of that, is derived from creators. So this isn't professional content. And yet only 8% are actually being monetized by those influencers, by those creators. So we believe it explains why Unilever is shifting half their budget to media spend to creator and 20xing their spend because they see this big opportunity. We believe it's a huge opportunity as well. AI will help drive the creator economy. And look, we have to redefine what a creator is. Yeah, it used to be, Mr. Beast and influencers. Now it's everyone, journalists, scientists, comedians, athletes, heck, I'd even argue bankers maybe, I don't know. They're all creators, which is why I'm looking forward to my new Netflix show, Parody Banker. Deal with it. Okay, that may or may not be true. I don't know. But one thing is getting old is the walled gardens keeping, making all these measurement snafus. When I had a Facebook executive on stage and they had done 22 measurement errors that all went their way, I said, that's not an error, that's a strategy. Okay, this is like, this is getting old. No refunds or make goods will be issued. Okay, so we're in the final stretch here. I know I'm a little over my time, but I beg your forgiveness. I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of the incremental mentality in this industry. It's 10% better. Who cares? We want 10x. And if you think about it, every order of magnitude change in advertising has come from native formats on native infrastructure. Think Google Search, Facebook, TikTok, AppLovin, and coming soon, OpenAI. They've already announced that they're building an in-house ad infrastructure for this. And look, it begs the question, will AI catalyze the long overdue, what I call great reckoning of ad tech? Here are the points. AI will separate wheat from the chaff and drive much needed rationalization and consolidation. The LUMAscape is a fragmented ecosystem of largely undifferentiated companies built in the ZERP era, which eke out their existence on rev shares and kickbacks. Harsh, but true. The result is an inefficient supply chain with economic opacity, perverse incentives, shenanigans, and fraud. What's needed are fewer players doing more volume at lower take rates with better quality. In other words, rationalize like any other industry. Some advocate for a revolution that blows up the existing programmatic ecosystem and starts over. Say you want a revolution. And Comrade O'Kelly is leading charge, making from Scope 3, making ubiquitous posts on LinkedIn. All right, that's the end of my Russian accent. In fact, this guy is all over this notion that we have to blow everything up and start over. He's so prolific with his posts, one wonders what kind of automation technology he's utilizing. That explains everything. Okay, but we need advertising technology ecosystem to work. Google only seems to be product innovating on statements of defense. They're being sued by everybody. So we need the independent ecosystem to work. And whilst they do understand the concept of creative destruction in the sense that Gemini is eating searches business, so they at least get that part. Now, one of the best signs of health for an ecosystem are new entrants, and fortunately, we've had new entrants across a variety of categories. And this is again a very, very healthy sign for the ecosystem. I would argue we're entering the 5th phase of ad tech. I won't go through all the details here, but suffice to say that whilst digital advertising has grown from $13 billion in 2010 to almost $500 billion by 2020. And we launched LUMA in 2010, seeing this opportunity. It has not been a smooth ride, right? It's not been a direct path. So we had the first two phases, which I call ad network and early programmatic, were growth and innovation. Everything was fantastic. Then the next 10 years were sector headwinds and scale and PE, which, quite frankly, innovation started to wane, right? We haven't had much in the way of new technology. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy that we are back in the phase 5, which I call AI reinvention, where the disruption and the cycle of innovation is going to reaccelerate, and I think that will lead to a lot of M&A deals. Or as my partner said to me,
Mortimer, we're back.
So it is a bright new day. It holds promise for an exciting new reality with emphasis on the word new. Think about what by the way, AI valued at $500 billion. It's the most valuable private company in the history of the world. This is Fiji Simo, who is the number 2 at OpenAI and the one that's going to be driving their business. Think about OpenAI in advertising. It is a new consumer interface with a new product, new pipes, new value proposition, new business model, building a new ecosystem. This is all new. It's a bright new day. What could possibly go wrong? All right. It's a little bit worrying that we could be entering a winner take most, and their deal with NVIDIA is certainly concerning. Here it is, the scorecard of the AI consequences by constituent. Consumers, this is fantastic. Advertisers, this is going to be great. It's going to accelerate the outcomes era. Less waste, more conversion. For agencies, it's going to be good or bad, and the determinant is going to be how fast the agencies move. Same thing with the ad tech ecosystem. It's all about speed. Publishers, I split into 2. Large publishers, they're going to be fine. They'll cut licensing deals. They'll probably be neutral. Whereas long-tail and news publishers, I'm worried about these folks. But, you know, and by the way, what I'd say about all of these predictions, I don't know. But that's my best guess. All right, so the takeaways for the advertising ecosystem. Big finish here, folks, and I know I'm way over. I'm sorry. I didn't time this. Changes on hyperdrive, right? Rethink everything is our tagline as it relates to AI and advertising. Legacy assumptions, they're out the window. Trust but verify has a whole new meaning. It's going to, again, separate the wheat from the chaff. And the winners are going to have a much, much better business model. And ultimately, inorganic growth is key to winning. And I know what you're thinking. An investment banker suggesting that we need to do M&A.
I'm shocked to see LUMA pitching M&A as a strategic solution.
You're winning, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
So I get it, right? But we would objectively state that the impetus for M&A from AI is very strong. It's timely. Not everything is going to work, but we advise clients to make errors of commission, not omission. And we see a lot of activity. We're seeing already discussions pick up that portend great impact. If you don't believe me,
I think the next 2 quarters are...
I'll skip it. He basically says we're going to have a boom in M&A. So there you go. And I would submit, my last slide, M&A is the key to technology innovation flywheel. So think about it. An entrepreneur starts a company, scales it, gets acquired. The acquirer leverages that innovation. The entrepreneur then leaves and starts another startup, and the cycle continues and continues and continues. This, ladies and gentlemen, startup exits are the critical component of the innovation flywheel. This is a comparative advantage for the United States of America because it's the U.S. leads the world in terms of M&A volume in technology. Europe doesn't have it. China doesn't have it. This is a uniquely American strength. That's right, folks. Am I saying that it is your patriotic duty to do M&A technology to advance the innovation flywheel? You're goddamn right I am, but don't do it for your country. Don't do it for your industry. Don't even do it for your company. Do it for how it makes you feel.
I feel good.
That's right. It makes you feel good. So I'm guessing you did not have these characters on your bingo card for an investment banker's deck, but there you have it. Yeah, maybe we should change our tagline. I don't know.
I feel good.
Thank you very much.